Good evening. My name is Chia Zamufunde. I'm a rising senior at Mahoya College, and I'm studying psychology. I'm involved with the college's orientation program, and I'm also a member of the International Students Orientation Committee. I'm also a peer mentor with the speaking, arguing, and writing program. I'm from Zimbabwe, and before coming to college in the United States, I worked with Campaign for Female Education, CAMFED, and we worked with young women in rural Zimbabwe on health education, community health training, business skills, and leadership training. Will Marsha Guenzler-Stevens come to the podium, please? Masha has centered her professional career on working in higher education. For more than 20 years, she has worked in the areas of admissions, residential life, campus activities, student affairs administration, affairs, and Greek life. Currently, she's in the building we are in, the Adele H Student Union. Prior to this position, Masha has served as the Director of Activities and Associate Director of the STEM, and in that position, she supervised the campus programs, staff, and was responsible for managing the university's interface with 14 recognized chaplaincies and overseeing the university's memorial chapel. Outside of the university, Masha speaks nationally on issues such as women's leadership, organizational development, and motivation. She serves as the Vice President of the National Board for the Vietnam Women's Memorial Foundation, and in that capacity, she launched storytelling at the Vietnam Women's Memorial, a program that has allowed men and women who were touched by the Vietnam War and more recent conflicts to share their stories. Masha is also the First Lady at St. Timothy's School in Baltimore area, a private school for girls from grade 9 to 12, where Masha's husband, Randy, is the head of school. She is instrumental in their growth and development as a role model and mentor. Every summer, Randy and Masha are lead chaperones for an annual international summer program that takes a group of St. Tim's women on an extensive international tour and has included South Africa, China, Peru, and this upcoming summer to India. Especially meaningful to all of us here this evening, Masha has been a volunteer with the National Conference for College Women Student Leaders every year since its first year 26 years ago, including serving as the committee chair in one of the years. As we saw earlier today, in the Sharing Our Voices session, she brings an amazing energy and spark to the conference and helps make this an empowering experience to hundreds of students each year. Masha, I admire your commitment to student life in higher education, and I particularly value your contribution to women's leadership and issues of diversity and inclusion. It is with appreciation and admiration that the National Conference for College Women Student Leaders, organizers and attendees, including myself, honor and recognize her this evening as the 2011 Women of Distinction.
Thank you so much, Chiesa. I am honored. And also thank you to AAUW and NASPA, and particularly to the women of the National Conference for College Women Student Leaders. I'm humbled, and I've been humbled since Brooke stopped me in the hallway. And all I can think of is this song from Sesame Street. It's going off in my head, and I don't really remember the tune because I was much too old to be watching it, but I found it entertaining. And he went to the University of Maryland. You know that song, one of these things is not like the other, one of these things does not belong, you know? Me. I'm thinking, holy crap, they made a big mistake. But what a joy. What a joy. The other night I was in a conversation with my husband, Randy, who you just heard a little bit about. It's commencement weekend, and he wasn't even supposed to be here tonight because it's some sort of sports banquet, and on a surprise, they changed the time of the event, and there's lots of other people who forced him to do that. And he was working on his commencement dress, and he says in this profound way over dinner, nothing like two educators really chatting it up, he said, there are really two critical questions in life. Who am I, and what is my purpose? In other words, why did God create this really strange and unusual bag of gifts and put me in the world to sort of change it? Well, I thought, my God, that is profound. And I thought, I'm stealing it. So, who am I? I sometimes think women have the hardest time answering that question. Now, a woman from the University of Maryland should never quote anything from Duke University, but I'm about to do that, so God forgive me. Look out for the lightning, my friends. But our friends at Duke University did a study of women on their campus of every possible rank. And they said of their undergraduate women that women at Duke, and this fits us all, wanted effortless perfection. They wanted to be smart, fit, cute, bright, capable, always there for a friend, and they wanted to do all of that without looking like it took any effort or sweat. And so the seeds of doubt are sowed because we believe we should be flawless in answering that question, who am I? But we all find out all too soon that we fart, we fail, we have bad hair days, we fail to be there for a friend when they need us. But trust me, as imperfect as we are in searching for the answer to who am I, we learn from our failures, perhaps even more than we learn from our successes. And when we fail, it's critical that we have people who are surrounding us yelling in our ear, you can do this. Get back in there. Put down your head. Don't think, just do. You're amazing. Now I have to tell you, I needed my mom and dad to yell in my ear to get me through organic chemistry. They will tell you that a lot. And 30-some years later, it's their voices I hear more than anyone else in my ear. My beloved parents, who taught their 3 daughters that anything was possible with a lot of faith, a lot of hope, unconditional love, and if you kept repeating the phrase, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. Life really is a long journey where every day you seek the new answer to the question, who am I? And to light your way in that journey, you need to find role models, particularly women role models. Now, I had my grandmas and my mom, my comparative anatomy professor, Dr. Franzen, scary lady with a cat, but I loved her. And I had my colleagues, many of them who are here this evening, who are like family. And I had, above all else, my students who were my teachers. Now, there's a few here this evening, and their stories are influencing me tonight. People like these 2 senior interns I had once who took over my office, no lie, 6 months, no desk. And they could protest at the drop of a hat. Well, one of them now runs the largest crisis center for women who are victims of violence in the District of Columbia. One of them is the deputy director of the White House Office of Asian and Pacific American and Islanders. There's another one, a young woman who decided to run for Student Government Association. Some of you are in the room that did this too. And she amassed this amazing group of students, probably the most diverse group we had ever had running for that leadership role. And in the final days of her campaign, her brother committed suicide. And she found this amazing way to win an election and rise to the occasion with courage and grief and feeling. Those same skills that help her well in the governor's office of the state of Maryland. Now, those women think that I may have mentored them in some way, but the reality was they were there for me at really difficult times when I couldn't believe myself. And they had confidence in me. They yelled in my ear, you can do this. And they modeled risk-taking in this really profound way. Now, I gotta tell you, I've been to a lot of Women of Distinction ceremonies because I am old. Young, old. And I remember meeting this woman, Diane Carlson Evans, at one of those ceremonies, and I got to tell you, the voices of these women resonate in my head all the time. And Diane Carlson Evans had decided we needed to find a way to honor women who served during the Vietnam era. The wall had been built. There was a statue of 3 fighting men, but people forgot. People forgot there were women there. She fought the establishment because there were no monuments to women on the National Mall at that point. Well, 17 years later, there's a Vietnam Women's Memorial. And so every Memorial Day and Veterans Day, I'm there. And I listen to these stories, and I am amazed. I'm not a Vietnam vet, but a Vietnam vet inspired me and said, "Come aboard, sister." I'm blessed because I found a purpose. And as my wise husband said, when you find your purpose, there will be your passion. For me, it was students. And that intersection of purpose and passion is really critical. But even if you kind of know what you want to do, you still ask yourself those crazy questions. Who am I and what's my purpose? And I still seek out role models. Sometimes they don't even know they're my role models. I listen to people speak and I think, oh my God, you're my best teacher. They don't even know. Folks like the wise women at this conference who over the years have sort of given voice to a lot of things in sessions and in conversations. This afternoon as I listened to your stories, I was thinking how blessed I am to know that someday this future will be in your hands. That's good stuff, particularly the ones of you who think you're going to be President of the United States, if not Lisa. So someday when you face a challenge or a pitfall or a failure or a bad hair day, you will need to hear a voice in your head, and maybe one of the voices will be one of these women, or maybe it will be someone you met earlier today. You see, stories I've learned unleash and spread all over are really what empower us. They allow us to discover those profound answers. Stories like my mom's 30-year triumph in battling multiple sclerosis, and the role model of my father's unconditional love as her caregiver. The stories of the young women at St. Tim's who I travel the world with, who are not afraid in the midst of world leaders, and I gotta tell you, my husband is not afraid of asking anyone to meet with us. So we have met some really swell people. Well, they'll sit there, and at the end, they'll walk out and say, "I'm gonna be the president of South Africa." And I'll be like, "Well, good for you. You go." Or stories like a group of homeless men that lived in a shelter I volunteered in, who spent the better part of 6 months teaching me the true meaning of home. Or perhaps some of the greatest stories I've known in the past 20 years have been unleashed when I attend this conference, when I hear stories like my friend from Zimbabwe, who will combine public health and learning and social work in some profound way and affect the world. Like Emile Zola said, "If you ask me what I came into the world to do, I will tell you I came to live out loud." You don't need to know the answer to the question, who am I, or what is my purpose? You just have to live your way to the answer. But never forget, if you ever need someone to yell in your ear, call me.